Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by DraftKings. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. We were planning on doing our free agency, plans today. Every year, the episode, our last episode before free agency, we map out like what we would do if we were the GM, which I think is a fun exercise more than like actually like this is what they have to do. But the issue is we don't know what we can do. We have no clue what's going on. We are waiting to the last minute, which is fine. You don't win a prize for having your cap situation figured out early. But Justin, happy birthday. How are you?
Oh, thank you, Bobby Skinner. I appreciate that. Doing well. I told you to end last show. I said things are just not going to get figured out. There's too much to do, and some things are starting to get figured out. But you still feel like there are a lot of moves the Giants can make. It's just a question of if they will make them. I told you that this was going to happen. I told you that we were not going to be able to do this. So I get once every couple months, I'm right about something.
It's one of those. It's just only because it's your birthday. You got a nice little birthday, like correctamundo. So we're going to talk about Kevin Zeitler, and Nate Solder. Optimism about a restructure, even though that's a weird word to use about it. And we'll do some Giants stories. Justin, before we get into that, this episode was brought to you by 3 special people. Usually I go one by one, but their names are John, James, and Jacob.
Ooh, great alliteration. My name's Justin.
Those are 3 very biblical names. John Gleason, James Garner, and Jacob Brown.
Justin's not a biblical name.
No, I don't think it is.
Shame.
My middle name is Joseph. What's your middle name?
Kyle.
No, Kyle's like anti-Bible. It's like, drinking Red Bulls or, Monster Energies and all the new stereotypes that go up with the nerd Kyle now. So thank you to Jacob Brown, James Garner, son of Charlie Garner, former Raiders running back.
Yeah.
And John Gleason, I feel like John Gleason has been a patron before, because I remember telling the story about the park that's named Gleason Park by my house.
Yes. Also, I'm getting glizzy flashbacks.
Glizzy Gladiator. Justin, who are these 3 people?
Well, these 3 wonderful people, all with the first letter in their first name, J, good alliteration. For my birthday, they went to patreon.com/talkinggiants, and for $2 a month, they gave their support so they can hang out with us during the live chats. Whenever the Giants, whenever we have clarity about what the Giants are going to do with free agency, this is the place that you want to be. You want to be recording and reacting with us live when the Giants hopefully sign some good players. Patreon.com/talkinggiants. You can give me a late birthday gift by supporting the show a little extra, or you can just continue to listen and love us, which I would also love that too.
Yep. All right, Justin, the Giants cut Kevin Zeitler. We knew something was going to happen with Kevin Zeitler. We knew there was no way he was going to play under that $14.5 million cap hit. We just knew that wasn't going to happen. And then with the $2.5 million worth of dead cap, they decided to cut him, saving the Giants $12 million in cap space. One more person explains to me the top 51 rule. Whenever we mention how much they save, I'm going to lose my mind. They cut $12 million. They saved $12 million in cap space. So they need the room, but it does stink they couldn't figure out some type of restructure. But I also get Kevin Zeitler being like, no, we're not totally restructuring this deal to make it super favorable for you.
I mean, let's just put it this way. If this is a normal offseason and the Giants are $30 million under the cap, Kevin Zeitler probably stays, right?
Yeah, if there's not a pandemic, we'd probably keep Kevin Zeitler.
Right. That's ultimately what I think it unfortunately came down to. And also, Bobby, if Nate Solder played through the 2020 season, even with the pandemic, if Nate Solder played the 2020 season and we could cut him and save money versus lose money if we cut him, you were just doing something off camera, and I'm very curious as to what you were doing.
Hit a bug.
Eat a bug. If Nate Solder played the 2020 season, Kevin Zeitler also probably stays, because then we can easily cut Nate Solder, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was always the plan, which we'll talk about Solder in a bit.
but it's just two unfortunate situations, which ultimately ends in a good player, maybe not the player that he was in 2019, but a good player that the Giants relied on, and also a guy that was just well liked and we loved. Him being cut from the team, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah. Like I said, they need the room, and they couldn't force them to restructure. And we said that like a week or two ago when everyone was like, "Oh, they got to restructure Zeitler's." Like, you can't force them to restructure. You can't force Kevin Zeitler to restructure his contract. He probably believes he can go out there on the open market and make some money. He's already done it before. So he's a very good, consistent player, but I also do think it's worth pointing out that we understand it because, one, he just turned 31 years old, Justin. And in 2019, it was almost impossible to find a bad rep from Kevin Zeitler. Like, they were very few and far between. In 2020, he had bad games. There were 3 games where I was like, man, that was a bad game from Kevin Zeitler. Now, any normal offensive lineman, you don't think much of that. But when a guy's turning, he's getting on the wrong side of 30. It's got a big contract like that where there's not a lot of dead cap. I understand moving off of it with the situation the Giants are in, because it's the whole, you'd rather be a year early than a year late.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate because we liked him so much. Bobby, I don't know. I mean, no, you interviewed a decent amount of players on Simple Man Radio. The interview that we did with him off season winter of 2020 was my first player interview.
I guess January is a winter. Never mind.
Yeah. I did say winter.
When I think winter, I think end of football season, not beginning of off season.
Yeah. So, but January, it was January.
That's my fault.
No, that's okay. We all make mistakes. You made a mistake at the end of last episode saying that we could probably do the free agency preview, and I was right. So 2-0, Justin.
You were wrong about Golden Tate, so that's how it goes.
I don't want to talk about it. We loved Kevin Zeitler. He was my first player interview. I was shaking in my boots, and I still I didn't have a webcam, so I was using my Alienware. I've had the same computer since the 7th grade, and I still use it. It's just that I use a different webcam. That's why I always look up when I look at the webcam, and then when I look at Bobby Skinner, I look down. If you've ever wondered that. So I was on my crappy webcam. We were using Skype, which is terrible audio quality. And Kevin Zeitler was awesome. A little bit of a boring guy, but that's what you want out of your football players. And Sarah Zeitler has always supported us. She always buys our shirts. She actually quote tweeted a thank you tweet that I gave to both of them. She's like, we gotta sell the Hog Molly shirts in whatever color Kevin Zeitler goes to next, and then send it to her. So
that might be something we need to do, is make the Hog Molly shirts in every team color.
Yeah.
But yeah, it stinks because right now what we have now is Shane Lemieux and Will Hernandez as our starting guards.
Right.
And I don't think that's what they're gonna do, So it's not like I'm not panicked about the guard spot, but it's not just move on from Kevin Zeitler and trust the young guys. There's no way you roll with just those 2 guys. So I do think they'll try and bring somebody in through free agency. Maybe the draft. Maybe there's a couple guys they have their eye on in the 2nd round of the draft or something. But I don't think you can just roll with those 2 guys. So there will have to be some type of replacement, and it's Daniel Jones' 3rd year. We don't want the offensive line getting worse. And when you move Kevin Zeitler, it essentially gets worse. Like I said, there's plenty of time. There's literally every second of the offseason for them to fix it, because since the offseason hasn't started. But I'll say this. I was projecting him as the 3rd best offensive lineman for next year. Nick Gates, I thought, was the best one out of all of them in 2020. And then Andrew Thomas, I was projecting to be better than him. But to the counterpoint is that should be the goal, is a guy like Kevin Zeitler's, your 3rd best offensive lineman. That's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yeah. And, now it's, we're at a funky point where if we draft another rookie, even if we draft somebody in the 2nd round who we really value, I mean, Will Hernandez was a highly touted 2nd round pick. Now, granted, maybe we take like a Dickerson or a guy that comes from a very competitive conference that maybe won't have the most difficult time transitioning. But again, we're going to be at a point where we are in Daniel Jones's 3rd year. Saquon Barkley is coming off of a ACL injury in his 4th year. where the fourth year is a big year. Are we going to pick up that fifth year option? Is Saquon Barkley going to want to sit out on that fifth year option without any kind of contract? So a lot of big decisions are coming, and a lot of it is centered around the success of the offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Gettleman, when he first showed up, said, "I'm going to fix the offensive line," and I went at Kim Jones because she's continues to double down on being wrong, which is funny, by the way. But her point was, her first question was a good point. It's like, you said you're going to come in here and fix it. Why is it not? Why is it still bad? Yeah. So there's no excuses this year for this offensive line to be bad, and we'll talk about it in a second. Well, I mean, I guess that could just transition to Nate Solder, right?
Yeah.
So Dan Duggan reported on Thursday that per source, there's optimism that Nate Solder will play for the 2021 New York Giants and that a deal will get done.
I was floored.
Well, Jordan Renan said supposedly, the ball is in Nate Solder's court, so they have made some type of offer for Solder. But we were fully expecting him to be cut, like that blog slash that article he put out very much seemed like Nate Solder was going to be cut, and it kind of just made sense to just end the marriage. It's time to end this. It didn't go the way things expected. Then the 2020 opt out made it even more confused. It seemed like it was ending. Now it seems like they're going to bring back Solder, and my first thought was, Matt Parrott, you better be getting ready. You better be getting ready, Matt Parrott. You better be working your ass off this offseason, because this team is going to put a lot of faith in you getting it done and learning. And we can't have defensive ends in Daniel Jones' lap in 2.5 seconds this year. We can't do it. So Matt Parrott, you got all the tools, man. It's on you. It's on you to get ready, because we cannot put faith in Nate Solder to be a starter. If they bring him back and it makes sense money-wise for him to be the backup, fine. But I don't even want it to be a competition. Matt Parrott needs to win that job. There's no open competition in my mind. Matt Parrott, you need to win that job, or not even for third round expectations. It's a failure.
Let's do a little exercise. Now, again, we have to preface this every time we talk about Nate Solder. I don't even think there's a difference between sympathy and empathy. Bobby, I don't even think we can be empathetic about what Nate Solder is going through, because we don't have children of our own. So we can be sympathetic. So it's almost like we're standing at the outside and we don't know what he's going through. And, I got a whole bunch of comments, today, like, the impact off the field of, what his family and what his child was going through impacted him in 2019. Okay. Like, say that, but still, let's do an exercise of solely just looking on the football field.
And let's preface it with this too. This is no shot at Nate Solder. You get every single penny you can pinch out of the NFL. You should never feel like you did the team or whatever wrong. Unless you there is some people who just suck, but Nate Solder is not that type of guy, so get every penny you can out of this league while you can. So this isn't like a how dare Nate Solder do this. It's just from our point of view, people who cover the team, it's not good for the team for Nate Solder to be coming back at it, unless he's playing for the bare minimum, which I don't think that's going to happen.
No. So let's do an exercise. We obviously think Mike Remmers is a better tackle, and he performed better in 2019 than Nate Solder did. Yes,
he performed better, but right tackle is an easier position. But if you just hey, who played better, the left tackle or the right tackle? The right tackle played better.
All right, so this is a tougher question. Who do you prefer right now, Cam Fleming or Nate Solder?
It's the year off makes it tricky. The year, if we were going into this past season, I would have said Nate Solder, because Cam Fleming benefited from being on Daniel Jones and Daniel Jones, line of vision.
Yeah.
Where Nate Solder could have benefited from that. If this Nate Solder makes the same exact mistakes on the opposite side, and it's not as bad because it's just the whole, the blind side's a real thing. So I would say the year off, man, makes me just have no faith for it.
Yeah, and
So
the thing that's crazy to me, Bobby, you know, why this is the part I don't understand. Nate Solder plans to play in 2021. Yet the first thing that we hear him and his camp say is, "Oh yeah, I kind of want to play in 2021, but I certainly didn't do the same conditioning and the same strength training and everything that I would have done." It's like, dude, like even if you didn't, don't say that.
well, that's the
Like,
thing
don't.
is no one undersells himself, so he probably didn't do a lot. Like probably didn't do like no one's gonna tell Nate Solder's an honest person, but no one's gonna be fully transparent of like they're never gonna undersell themselves on their work ethic. You know
Well,
what I mean?
well, he undersold himself. Just like,
What
yeah,
I'm saying
I
is like it's probably a little worse than that.
which really, really worries me because Bobby, let's paint the picture of Nate Solder's football situation right now. Nate Solder, now this is at least my opinion, prevented the Giants from winning multiple football games in 2019. And also, if Nate Solder was even an average left tackle in 2019, I think there's a decent chance Pat Shurmur still has his job. I really do.
Yeah.
No,
No, I agree.
maybe he loses it in 2020. Maybe, I don't know but at least in 2019, there's a decent chance if Nate Solder is an average left tackle and Daniel Jones loses a couple fumbles or loses less fumbles because Nate Solder isn't a turnstile, good chance maybe Pat Shurmur still has his job. I love Joe Judge, but that is a reality. Nate Solder's 2019 was worse than Andrew Thomas's first half of 2020. We both agree on that.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. So Nate Solder's coming off a season 2019 where he was the worst left tackle in the National Football League. He was worse than Andrew Thomas was for the first half of 2020. We view him as a worse player as Mike Remmers. We view him right now, maybe not as of the beginning of 2020, but we view him right now as a worse player than Cam Fleming, and Cam Fleming was nothing to celebrate about. And yet here we are, and the Giants clearly don't just want to flat out cut him. That's where we're at.
It's I have to see the money before you get like a real raw my full like this is my exact thoughts, and that's why I said before my thoughts are Matt Parrott, you better get ready, because if he's I'm not going to be mad if Nate Solder's the backup, but it's got to be like for very very minimal over what we already have to pay, you know what I mean? Because like they have to pay him a good amount of money already. He's got that, a $6 million, that $10 million cap hit regardless. So if they're like, hey, we'll pay you basically that, then it's like, okay, then that keeps us from having to go and get one more player in free agency, spend another $4 or $5 mil or $3 mil or whatever they want on that third tackle. But yeah, I agree with you. There's this idea. It's like, oh, well, he was hurt, the family stuff, blah, blah. It's like, well, he hasn't been conditioning the way, he admitted to not conditioning and working out the way he usually would. He hasn't played in a year. You don't get better from not playing in a year. He's another year older, coming off of that horrible 2019, and he's going to be switching positions, playing a position he hasn't played in 10 years in right tackle.
Yeah, since
and on
literally
top of that,
Super Bowl 46.
Yeah, so, like, it's things happen in football.
Right.
We get surprised all the time, but I am not putting any stock into he was injured in 2019 and the family stuff with ball. Because then this is something I always say, and I hate bringing it up, but the issues with his family haven't totally went away.
No.
Like that's still there in the back of their mind. Things are better now, which is awesome. But again, I may end up being cool with him being the backup, but I refuse to be optimistic about Nate Solder playing at a good level in 2021.
Right. So where the point we may arrive at eventually is the Giants do not have a lot of money. There's a lot of areas that they want to acknowledge in free agency. Right tackle is not a huge priority because guard is now taking the precedent of being the main priority on the offensive line. So we would rather see the Giants go out and spend, if they're going to spend somewhere on the offensive line, we want it to be at one of the guard spots or center if we really want to move Nick Gates over to guard, which we don't prefer to. But interior offensive line, we prefer to spend there, acknowledge there, get some sort of a veteran so we're not putting another rookie on the offensive line. And then Matt Parrott, cross your fingers, he can win that camp battle and he can keep the job throughout the year so we don't have to rely on Nate Solder. So that's the point that I think we're going to arrive at. Like, yeah, restructuring Nate Solder definitely does make sense, but we're just at a point right now where Bobby and we're, I think, a couple fans and people that look at the team that are like, know how detrimental Nate Solder was in 2019. That's something that is not talked about enough. Even Dave Gettleman, you point out how even Dave Gettleman.
Yeah, when people are like, "Oh, the season wasn't that bad," it's like, you know what the GM doesn't do is come out and say that a player had a bad season when it wasn't that bad. Like he's not going to overreact like a Twitter comment section would.
So right now I feel like we're not panicking. We're not yelling, hoot and holler and screaming, but we're anxious that like, whoa, this news came out. It's not what we were expecting. We're getting flashbacks to Daniel Jones getting murdered in 2019, despite having a pretty solid rookie season. And we just don't want that to happen again. That's where we're at. But I think we may arrive to that point at which I said earlier, where, you know what, it made sense. Just pray Matt Parrott works.
And Matt Parrott very well may work. Like Matt Parrott has all the tools to be good. And I eventually, maybe this will be like a June project. I'm going to put a video together on Matt Parrott to remind, people who he is and what he needs to work on. But the stuff that Matt Parrott needs to work on is very, very fixable. So that's why, that's why I tweet out, like, hope you're working hard. Because, you don't just get better by, getting a year older. You get better by working hard. So if Matt Parrott is out there grinding and working hard, and we said, and we said this a week ago on the podcast, Justin, because they're, the offensive line, we don't feel great about it. But Matt Parrott can really change the way you feel about the offensive line as a whole. Yep. If Matt Parrott comes out and is good, is, average to above average in 2021, it really does change how you feel about this offensive line. So like I said, this is just a don't put any stock in Nate Solder actually being a starter in 2021. And everyone has to win their battle, but Matt Parrott should win that battle.
Any chance they restructure him to cut him? No, that doesn't happen.
No, I don't. No. That would be cold. That would, the NFL is a ruthless league, but that would be cold blooded.
Because they could do that to Tutoilolo. We talked about how they can do it to Tutoilolo. At least we think.
Yeah, they could. They did give him a little more guaranteed money, but it's not enough to stop them from cutting him if they wanted to. But they don't want to cut him. They're not going to restructure him to want to cut him. And he does, and he has a lot more. He has a lot more bargaining power than Levine Toilolo had. Levine Toilolo had no dead cap.
Yeah, that's true.
Nate Solder has $10 million worth of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Just throwing crap at a wall, hoping something sticks. That's it.
Yeah. Well, Justin, you gotta be prepared. You can't just hope stuff happens.
No.
And is there anything better than the fresh mowed grass at the ballpark on opening day? I'm not talking about football. I'm talking about baseball here, people. How about freshly groomed balls? Our sponsors at Manscaped, the global leaders in below-the-waist grooming, are here to help you strike out your bush for good. There's a whole new balls game, folks, and Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. Wow, 2 million men? Wow. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code GIANTS at manscaped.com. Make sure you use that code. 20% off and free shipping. That's the difference in a decent amount of change. I'm telling you, these products are no joke. Like Justin, sometimes his takes are a joke. These products aren't. So easy to use, and I have all the confidence in the world with the best tools for the job, Manscaped. Hey, and I have never been a confident person, doing that kind of stuff. I'm very careful, and sometimes if I went too long, it takes a very long time. Not with Manscaped, man. It is bam, 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 bam. Done. Easy. Good. I would let somebody else use this stuff on me, and I would never do that before. So,
you would let somebody else use the Lawnmower 3.0 on you?
Yes.
All right.
And so, so any listeners want to sign up for that? Promo code GIANTS.
Hey, Joe.com.
No, so yeah, this stuff's real deal. Their ceramic blade and advanced skin-safe technology. Your snags will be reduced with a closed shave. The Lawnmower 3.0 is simply the best hygiene tool for the modern man. Hit the sweet spots in every way for my balls. The Perfect Package 3.0 also comes with a crop preserver and crop reviver. It's time to keep them. It's time to keep them things fresh and clean. And it really does make a difference. You go a whole day. You get a little work done outside. That stuff really does help. It makes a difference. So like I said, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code GIANTS at manscaped.com. Hit the balls out of the park this season with Manscaped Perfect Package 3.0. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code GIANTS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code GIANTS. Baseball's back. We're not a baseball podcast, but it's back. So don't let your pubes get out of whack.
Wow. That was good.
Yeah. You see how uncomfortable I get a little bit sometimes?
Yeah, you really got uncomfortable at the end there. Like, I think he said 20% off, free shipping, like about 5 times.
No, I'm really hitting it home. That's how you do an ad.
Hitting it home. Baseball. Good reference. Bobby, before we get to Giants stories, can we talk about...
Well, we're not getting straight to Giants stories. Well, I want to talk about the cap situation and how it could be freed up.
Well, we were on the same wavelength. I wanted to talk about some cuts that maybe we're expecting.
Well, right now we're at $3.2 million worth of cap space.
Woohoo!
Now the reports were that they planned to get some type of long-term deal done with Leonard Williams, and Leonard Williams isn't going to make $10 million a year, but you can save $10 million on his contract by backloading or whatever. And I know that Dave Gettleman said that he doesn't like to restructure and backload like crazy. That doesn't mean that he doesn't backload and restructure contracts. It just means he doesn't want to get in the habit of doing that all the time. Let's relax on that a little bit.
Because he did it once with Nate Solder.
He does it all the time. We do it every year. We restructure contract every year. I mean, they literally just did it with Levine Toilolo. Their stuff will get restructured and backloaded. Like he's just saying as a philosophy, I don't want to get in the habit of doing that too much, and then it finally catches up with you.
Yeah.
So that could save $10 million. Let's say we save $6 million from Nate Solder. Like if they cut him out right, they could save $6 million. So let's say somehow they end up to that number of $6 million. That's $16 million.
Riley Dixon,
that's 2.9. Let's say you restructure Blake Martinez and Bradbury. Let's say you get a combined $5 million from restructuring them. Right there, you're at $24 million plus the 3.2. So you're at about a little over $27 million.
If the Giants trade,
there's other little cuts they can do too.
If the Giants flat out trade or cut Ingram, it's $6 million. But I do not.
I had Ingram on the list, but I don't think they're going to do it.
I don't think they're going to do it either.
Please trade Evan Ingram.
I think
it makes so much sense. Are we going to extend Evan Ingram next year? Like, just please, could trade Evan Ingram. Get me a draft pick for Evan Ingram. It would make all. You want to get Giants fans back on your side, Dave Gettleman? Trade Evan Ingram.
I think Ryan Lewis or Yadam, either one of the corners, Yadam has more of the cap hit.
Yeah.
You could cut both. I mean, those are guys.
Ryan Lewis wouldn't make any sense because of the top 51 rule.
Oh, all right. Well, then unfortunately, I mean, I would kind of like, I mean, the Giants.
I wouldn't cut Yadam. I'm not going to be mad if they do, but I don't think saving, 1.2 mil is worth cutting him.
Who else is a likely candidate?
I would say we named all the likely ones. And there will be restructures. The restructures are hard to really spot out who they're going to restructure, you know. But so, I know right now it kind of sucks because we don't know what's going to happen. But like I said at the beginning of the show, you don't get a prize for having this done 3 days ago compared to having it done Sunday night.
So not counting the $6 million taken out for Evan Ingram, how approximately based off of that little exercise we just did, how much cap space would we have?
27 mil.
Which is around, I'm thinking to myself, I said I had a video that I just put on social media tonight, where it was just like a thoughts video. And I said, are the Giants going to have $5 million in cap space or are they going to have 30 million? Which I think is I thought that was a good range. So
I think 30 mil is where they end up.
And then you need to save 10 million for the draft and maybe another 3 million for For like free agents.
If they really
moves.
want to clear, they can do it. I mean, if they really wanted to, they could put together 40-50. Like if they really wanted to, I just don't think they want to that's something where I do believe Kevin a little bit. It's like we don't want to restructure our whole damn roster because of 1 year. Where it's like, we spent a lot of money on free agencies last year. We're not gonna be the team that spends a ton on free agency every year.
Yeah,
we're gonna have some, cap will be freed up next year, even though there's some guys that got to get re-signed. And maybe they restructure Peppers. Could be a realistic restructure that helps them out. So there's definitely a lot. It sucks right now because we don't have a good picture of what they're gonna do. But I'm not worried about where we'll be Monday at 2:00 or 4:00. When does it start? Pretty sure it's 2:00.
You know better than me.
Free agent. See.
I know the new league year starts the 17th.
4 p.m.
So we can't even do our free agency plan, which stinks.
Yeah, we are. We're going to do it on Sunday.
Oh.
Or no, the fake tampering part starts on Monday, right?
I guess so. Bad radio.
Hold on.
I'm choosing
the tampering period begins on Monday.
I'm choosing.
I don't know what time it starts, but last year I think it started at around noon or 2. I can't remember. I remember being at pool. So
I'm choosing ignorance when it comes to the intricacies of this process, because I feel like if I knew somewhat about the cap and if I knew somewhat about how it worked, I would try to speak on it as an expert, and I don't want to do that because that's not what I'm about right now.
Yeah, they're going to figure it. They're going to figure it out. And besides Kenny Galladay, I didn't think any of us had like high aspirations for like some huge signing. And even with Kenny Galladay, we all kind of understood that it probably isn't going to happen. So
I'm starting to talk myself back into either Dalvin Tomlinson or Kyle Van Noy. Like they're going to either get Dalvin Tomlinson back or they're going to spend a little bit on an edge. I'm talking myself into
Bowser and Kyler Fackrell. Bring them back. Bring Kyler Fackrell back. Bring Bowser in. Maybe spend some money on a guard. Maybe you go get Thuney. Maybe make that your free agency get. Or maybe get crazy and you make Bud Dupree your free agency get. Guys come back from these ACLs. It's not a death sentence to get a torn ACL.
Would this year be the second year coming back from the ACL?
No, it'd be the first year, but he'll be fine.
Wait, no. Did Dupree play? When did he tear his ACL? 2018?
No, this year. We played him week 1.
Oh, he tore it this year.
Yeah, he'll come back fine.
I don't know.
Maybe he'll have 11 sacks instead of 13. He'll be fine. Bud Dupree, if Bud Dupree's on the Giants, he's going to get sacks.
Yeah.
That's a Bobby Skinner guarantee right there.
Yeah.
But maybe you go the cheap route and you get Bowser, who's very versatile. You bring back Fackrell, and then you run with Carter and Zimenez.
You talked me into Van Noy in your free agency edge video. You talked me into Van Noy.
I wouldn't be. There's a lot of options, and because there's no, like, last year we knew what they were doing. We knew they were going to go out and get a corner. Like, we knew some things that the Giants were going to do. This year it's very up in the air what they do. Like, their most expensive free agency spot could be a Joe Thuney, it could be a Bud Dupree, hell, it could be a Corey Davis, Galladay. They have a ton of options of what they could go and do.
Yeah. Maybe they could do something funky with the Thuney contract where they backloaded.
Yeah, I mean, it's not crazy.
No. If there's a year to do, I mean, the thing is, and this is,
there's a guy to do it with. It's Thuney.
I'm a little worried about, because it's not like doing it with Solder, which Solder had question marks. I mean, I'm pretty sure Thuney is isn't he the undisputed best interior offensive lineman in this free agency?
Yeah. I hate not watching film on these guys, but it's like,
and then giving takes. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't watch free agency film like that.
Yeah.
I gotta watch every draft player. So,
but this is where I do get a little worried. This is where I do get a little worried about Gettleman's comments. Like I know, like he says it, and then he says one thing and then he always does another thing. But also sometimes he's very open about things, and it scares me because if there is a year to actually backload contracts, it is this year because of how much the cap. And I even said this last offseason. because of how the cap is going to grow. And a guy like Jerry Jones is in those meetings with about, how much the TV revenue is going to bring in. The contracts that are on the horizon is Amazon's going to get involved, I'm sure. Twitch is going to get involved with streaming football games. The revenue that is going to come through the NFL, especially through the streaming and the TV contracts, it's going to be insane, along with the new CBA that was already signed last offseason anyway. So the money's going to be insane, and it's going to come. It's just a matter of when is it going to come and how rapidly is it going to come? Can the NFL get back on schedule like they were before the pandemic? That's the only question. And Jerry Jones, I think, clearly thinks yes, because of what they did with Dak Prescott and how they organized that contract.
Breaking news. Nate Solder restructured for $13 million a year. Just kidding.
I don't know. I don't know if the camera picked up on my face. I can't. I hate that you just did that. But do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if there's a year to do it, it's this year.
Yes, and I think we will. I hope.
Like, don't be an idiot about it. I mean, that's the only thing. Like,
I don't think they're going to go out and get like the 3 top free agents and get like backload them like crazy. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do get one big free agent and backload it like crazy. And then the rest, get like a Kyler Fackrell, Tyus Bowser, and get those guys on 1-2 year deals.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have, let's put it this way. The Giants have options of the way they're going to attack this free agency. They're not totally like strapped.
And something that is going for the Giants is that because the rest of the NFL is experiencing cap casualty situations and teams don't want to bring guys back. I think the Giants are like middle of the road when it comes to cap room. Yeah. Like, they're not the best and they're not the worst. So they're middle of the road in cap room. So there's 16 other teams, let's just say, that are in a worse cap situation. So there's going to be guys that are going to be cut. So there's a lot of options, and that is a good thing.
Lots of options. Lots of options. Oh, there's one other thing we got to talk about.
Okay.
The ad. You got to read the ad.
Sure. There's one other thing we got to talk about. And that other thing is
there's one thing after this, but I was trying to catch you off guard.
Oh, you did it twice. I'm off now. I'm off. Congratulations. You did it. It's that time of the year again, Bobby Skinner. This time last year, it's actually funny. March 11th, in 2020. That's when like the world shut down and a bunch of conference championships for college basketball were interrupted. But not this year, Bobby Skinner. Conference tournaments are tipping off. Bubble teams are making their final push for a bid, while the top seeds are preparing for what they hope is a long run for March Madness in the main tournament. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is now putting new customers in the center of the action. Bet $4 on an underdog and win $200 not just $200. Win $256 if they win. It's that simple. Bet $4 on an underdog in the select college basketball games, and if they win, you collect $256. The bank is open. Pick one of many scheduled college basketball underdogs for your shot at winning $256. All it takes is a $4 bet. There's no better way to put your college basketball knowledge to the test than to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. Don't worry if college basketball isn't for you. DraftKings Sportsbook offers great odds and promotion on golf, hockey, and so much more. Basketball's back. Nets, Blake Griffin, big stuff. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable.
Play tonight. Pissed me off.
Oh, Blake Griffin. How's he doing? Pick and roll. That's going to be his thing.
I thought he was supposed to debut tonight, and he didn't.
Oh, shame. Pick and roll. Going to be big. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code JOHNBOY, JONBOY, when you sign up to turn $4 into $256. If the underdog of your choosing pulls off the upset, that's code JOHNBOY to turn $4 into $256 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 years or older. New Jersey, Indiana, and Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Justin, before we do Giant stories, did you see me expose the frauds at PFF again?
It was a slow day, huh?
I exposed them. I had that in the tank for a while, and I was like, you know what? I'm bored. I'm exposing PFF, crediting Andrew Thomas for sacks in games that didn't have sacks. They're frauds. And then there's games where Jedrick Wills gave up a sack and they didn't count him for a sack.
So you're saying PFF is just against the Giants?
No, their offensive line pressure sack system sucks. It just does. Like we've always said it with the pressure sacks, they're way too liberal with the way they count pressures.
They are.
With sacks, it's unreal. I mean, look at it. It makes it seem so much worse than they do. Like even looking at defensive players, like I was, working on an outside linebacker video, and so I was using PFF because Danny bought it like a scumbag, even though I didn't want him to. Danny bought PFF. So, but the one thing I do use it for is outside linebackers to see how many coverage snaps they'd had and how many pass rush snaps. And then it's like they have so-and-so with like 35 QB pressures, and then Pro Football Reference has them with 18. Like they are so liberal with the way they use some of it. Like they really do just make stuff up sometimes.
I only use a lot of people probably, I think I'm looked at as a voice of Giants stats and analytics within Giants content creators. I would like to think I'm looked at that way. The only thing I use PFF for is their QB annual. A lot of good QB data, but that comes out once a year during the offseason. I use PFF. I don't even rely on PFF in terms of like the depth of target stuff, since you can get that on Sharp Football Stats, and they, you don't need to pay for Sharp Football Stats. You can just look at that readily available. PFF, it's a little bit more detailed because they do 0 to 10, 10 to 15, or 10 to 19, and then 20 plus. Whereas Sharp Football Stats does it from like 0 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 plus, something like that. I don't use what do I use PFF for? QB annual.
Wipe my ass.
I look at the quarterback stats, and then I guess I just look at like how many snaps this guy logged here. Like it's helpful for cornerbacks, it's helpful for outside linebackers, it's helpful for offensive linemen in terms of how many snaps they logged at right tackle, left tackle.
Like how many reps do you have slot outside, stats on the slot outside.
Which, I mean, they're not basically, when I'm saying, and I'm the guy that
stuff that is 100%. You can't there's no judgment in it. They're cool with anything that has you have to use your judgment. They suck at because they hire nobody. Like they pay people the bare minimum. People who and there's articles written about it. Like they have people who've never even really watched football, and they're teaching them how to grade games.
But also, can we stop with the notion, and I want everybody to listening to this, I really want you to challenge yourself. Can we stop calling PFF grades analytics? They're not. No. I feel like it ruins, I know we're going off on a different conversation right now, but I feel like we're good on time. I feel like you saying that PFF grades and certain things that they do, there are a lot of what they do is stats and it's analytically driven. But their grades are not analytics. Can we stop calling it that? Because then it's ruining, I feel like, the good work of the people that I follow, the information that I get, and then the information that I compile. I don't just look at data and then just spew it. I try to compile it and then tell a story. That's what I try to do. And I think I do a good job at it. And then people will hear the language that I use and then dismiss it because, well, it's PFF. Oh, well, you're saying this and grades, PFF grades, isn't that analytics too? We should dismiss it. It's not. Analytics is helpful.
Yes, but PFF sucks.
The grades do.
They do. And a lot of their employees. Let's cue the freaking music. It's time for Giant Stories, where we look at the New York Giants Instagram stories and then talk about it. A very, very slow week. Leonard Williams. Not only was he franchise tagged this week, he was in Puerto Rico. Carter Coughlin was go-karting and surfing. Alfred Morris was riding his bike. I think this is his first time on Giant Stories. Might be the last, depending on how next week goes. BJ Hill was on a boat, and I put this one on there. I hate to say it, even though it's a great news, but Kevin Zeitler is having a baby girl. Justin, you know what we have to do right now, right?
Oh, no, you can't.
We have to.
We interviewed him.
We're following him from our personal accounts. Make sure you're following him from your personal account.
I'm going to be devastated. I can't watch this. I need to look away.
Well, I don't even know if he's. I know his wife is following us. I don't know if he's following us.
You can't unfollow Sarah. I won't allow you to do that.
I don't think we're even following her on the talk. Yeah, we're not even following her from the Talking Giants page.
Right,
Personal
rude.
accounts, you do it. Kevin Zeitler, unfollow. He wasn't even following us, so I don't feel too bad about it.
I don't believe you. You didn't show it.
Want me to show you?
I need to see it, but you also need to say something before you show us.
Should say something. See, there's no follow back button. It's just follow.
Man, that's tough when you see it.
It is, but it's hey, that's the way this game works. Sometimes we got to unfollow people on Instagram.
It's a business.
Like right now, I'm following Caden Smith's business thing that has 83 followers, but it's a shine of goodwill towards Caden Smith. Most recently followed by us, Caden Smith's business, Jordan Renan. I was never following Danny King, but to also debate that, Danny King has no Instagram posts. And I was following him from my personal, and then Jonathan Harrison, and then John Thornton, who's like an agent, but he's Andrew Thomas's agent. But I'm going to unfollow him.
Whoa, rude.
I mean, we're already cool with Keenan. I saw Breland Speaks page and I said Keelan.
Sure.
So not much, Larry Williams is in Puerto Rico, which that news got out of the bag way before Giants story. So not much there. I mean, there's really not much here this week. Alfred Morris bike riding.
Why do I feel like Giants stories is now slower than it was like height of pandemic? It has been very slow.
No, the last couple of weeks were big. This week it was just slow.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe guys are like ready to like change teams. I don't know. Well, look, there's been some new updates since we started the show. Let's look at. Oh, you want to know who posts the most Instagram stories? But I don't think it's ever been on, or has only been on a few times.
Derek Dillon,
Xavier McKinney.
Oh well, why? Well, what does he post?
He just reposts like stuff from pages and then him playing video games.
Oh.
And we there's two things we don't put on here: people playing video games and working out.
Xavier McKinney.
Ryan Lewis is having dinner with his girlfriend, fiance, wife. I don't know what their relationship is.
Oh, nice.
Oh, here's Xavier McKinney National Rollie Appreciation Day.
I feel like
That's
Xavier
a Rolls
McKinney.
Royce, if you didn't know.
Who? What?
A Rolls Royce.
Oh, good for you, X-Men. Feel like he has a little bit of an ego, little bit of like a.
I mean, who doesn't have an ego?
I do. We all know that.
Yeah, it's a slow week. It's a weird time of the year. This is the worst week of the NFL.
Yeah,
there's so much uncertainty.
It would be better if we had the combine.
Yeah, the combine is a great distraction.
Yeah.
Oh, Danny King just sent me a video.
Saying it, it's going to come. It's just a matter of when is it going to come.
All right, Danny King. That's not. Danny should have known I was going to post that on the show. All right. Check out Danny King's free agency plan.
It was very good, by the way.
You weren't pissed off when he put Marvin Jones in it?
I was, but that's up to him.
He knew
he did a good job. He did a good job knowing, like, or not even knowing, not knowing like what the Giants' situation is. He did a very good job of being like realistic and fair.
Yeah. Marvin Jones. Okay, so the show's over. So we can, if you're only interested in Giants talk, end the show.
Goodbye.
Here's the NFL take I have. People saying that Matt Stafford has had it bad for his career should shut up. Matt Stafford has had it awesome. Now, he hasn't always had the best offensive lines, but for him to just continuously miss the playoffs, there's no excuse for it. He had Calvin Johnson for all those years. Marvin Jones has been really good for him. Golden Tate, look at Golden Tate's numbers in Detroit. He was a beast. Now you have Kenny Golladay, who, he's been healthy for the majority of the overwhelming majority of his career. He had, decent running game. The defense was good for a few years. Like, Matt Stafford has no excuse to have never won a playoff game. Just because he's stuck in Detroit, and we just have this notion that everyone that's in Detroit gets a raw deal because Barry Sanders.
2014 Detroit Lions. That was Jim Caldwell's first year. They won 11-5.
They lost in the first round of the playoffs.
They
started out like 7-0 too.
They had a below average offense. They had the top 5 defense that year.
Look at Matt Stafford's numbers. They're not great. They're all right. But like when Dan Orlovsky was like saying that Matt Stafford on the Rams was going to put up like Aaron Rodgers 2020 numbers, it's like, what are you talking about, Dan? It's like, when has he ever, like, look at the weapons he's had. Like, this idea that Matt Stafford's had it, bad for his career to me is crazy. Like, it's just because he's in Detroit. If he played for any, like, if he played for the Panthers, I don't think we'd be like, oh, poor Matt Stafford.
Oh my God. Golden Tate.
Like, look at Cam Newton's had it bad.
Golden Tate and Calvin Johnson. Or, I mean, I'm asking this question. I think you know the answer. Who had more targets, Golden Tate or Calvin Johnson in 2014?
Golden Tate was putting up 90 and 1,000 every year. So I'm gonna say Golden Tate
because I asked that question.
Yeah.
Golden Tate had 144 targets. Calvin Johnson had 128. So that's insane. Like, we look at the Giants, stats at the end of the year. It's like, oh, Beckham is going to garner 140 targets, and then the next guy, I guess we're lucky if they get to 90. Crazy to have two guys, and then not a single other player on the roster. Not counting a running back, not a single other
Theo
receiver.
Riddick was always a great receiving back for them. Like Theo
Riddick was on that team. Yeah,
he's always had like like Eli had it a lot worse than Matt Stafford ever had.
Eric Ebron.
Yeah, like
was like a rookie.
He had Eric Ebron, and then Eric Ebron's first year with Andrew Luck had like 12 touchdowns. Now Andrew Luck is a guy who utilizes the tight ends pretty well, but still.
Issa Abdul Quadis was a safety, and I worked out with him when I was in middle school. Good player.
Javad Best, Amir Abdullah. None of those guys panned out, but still, those are two guys people are very excited about through the draft. Here, I'm gonna have to rewatch Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, you said some not nice things about him.
I just don't think he's gonna win against man coverage. I need to go rewatch him. Because I feel like everyone's falling in love with him, and I'm just like, I'm not amazed by him.
Okay, but let me ask you this question, because this is a good question as we approach free agency in the draft in terms of what wide receiver do we want on the team. Do we need a wide receiver that's going to beat man coverage, or do we need a wide receiver that's going to go up and just catch a football?
I don't know if Bateman's the guy that's going to do that. He's got big size. I just don't know if he's going to moss guys consistently. I want Jalen Waddle.
I think Jalen Waddle
or De'Ami Brown in the second round.
At least in my brain, Jalen Waddle forces Jason Garrett and the Giants to do something different.
Waddle, Pitts, Smith, and Chase. We're at pick 11. I just don't know if all 4 of those guys go in the top 10. I think we're going to get our shot at one of those 4.
I would agree.
Look at us. We're like every other show right now talking about what we're going to do at pick 11. It's like we don't know how to have it just like let's have the show under 50 minutes. We don't know how to do that. We just were like, okay, let's since we're on this right now, and let's be real, our show gets very serious from the next week on. We're nonstop starting next week, even though this week we were kind of nonstop. I've realized that the next sticker thing that's really going to get the attention of people is putting it on a cop car. Like, that's going to happen eventually.
Okay.
But I might save it for after the draft, because draft buzz, we don't need all that other, we don't need the extracurricular Tahoe stuff.
Do you know a police officer?
No. And that wouldn't even be fun. I'm going to have to walk up to the police officer's car while he's not looking and throw it. Or throw the magnet out the window like I did on Sunday.
The magnet may work a little bit better because you can...
But then do you want to be the guy throwing a magnet out the window? I don't know if I have the balls to do that, to do it while he's like at a red
what
light.
If he sees it and then he thinks that you threw like something like bad at his car, and then
my point exactly.
It turns into a felony stop.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need that.
How about this idea? Don't think you should do that.
I have to.
Maybe start with an ambulance and then work your way up from there.
Okay. But I think I might, slow down during draft month. We got it. We're cut. We got plenty of stuff. I don't need to be screwing around during draft month.
No, I don't need to be getting a phone call from you hey, come bail me out.
Very nice that you think I would call you to bail me out.
Yeah,
For
of
some reason.
course. We're our only. Danny is also a friend of ours. Snacks is not a friend. We're like our best friends. We don't know anybody else. We don't have any other friends.
When we go on vacation, I'm going to make one of you guys go to jail. The whole come on vacation, leave on probation. That's a saying around here.
It's a saying around here. Oh boy.
So yeah, it's good. I'll be honest. I was in a horrible mood to start this show because we were supposed to do our free agency plans, and I wanted to do it. And it's like we can't do it. We can't do it. Because every guy, it's like we don't have the money. Well, so now I need to see the money before we can do it. So man, we're about to amp it up. Next week we free agency. I'm so ready to get into the draft stuff. My draft guide, I probably have like 60 players done. And then it's not even there's guys I know, like Dwayne Eskridge. I know him. I know how I feel about him at the Senior Bowl. I don't have like one written up on him. So I will have 200 done by the time the draft kicks off.
Can I just interview you for draft month and you could just tell me the players that you like and then I don't have to do any players?
Well, this year will be different where I had my 6, you had your 6, and I didn't know much about your 6 besides very little. This year it'll be a little more conversational, where last year I talk about my guy, you talk about your guy, I talk, back and forth.
All right, so you're going to do 12 players per episode, and I will...
No, we're going to do 6 and 6, but I'm going to talk about your 6 a little more than I did last year.
All right, so then I will talk briefly.
It'll be more conversation.
I'll be like, hey, Bobby, I noticed this about this guy. What do you think?
You got to put the schedule together. My first mock draft, my post-free agency mock draft. Well, April 1st, I believe, is on a Thursday, right?
Sure.
So I was thinking, yeah, I believe so. April 1st is on a Thursday. So I was thinking about putting the first, the start of draft month mock draft out. And then Friday will be our first draft episode. I was thinking maybe the first episode we do. Last year we started out with the positions that we didn't need. I was thinking about maybe doing one that we slightly need to start it out.
Edge rusher.
Edge would be a good one because it's not something we think we're going to do in the first round, but there's a lot of guys we could talk about mid-round. So yeah, maybe edge rusher will be what we kick it off with.
Yes, it's exciting. It'll get the juices flowing.
Yeah, so we will talk about edge rusher, and we'll have a little more time. Like last year, we went through all of Dave Gettleman's Carolina classes. We're not going to do that again.
No.
So we won't be as strapped for time as we were last year. So it's fun. I really do love draft month. Draft month is a beautiful thing. Opening day, the same day as the day of opening of draft month. Screw baseball.
Wow. Can't wait to go. I'm excited to go to games.
Football games?
No. Well, yes, but baseball games.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys. We'll see you. So we will see you on Monday. We're going to put out our free agency plans on Monday, but we will play the rest of the week by ear. Okay. So there's no set schedule for next week. We'll have one out Monday, and say they don't sign anybody on Monday, we're not going to put one out on Tuesday.
Tough.
So, and if they sign 2 people for, if they sign Kyler Fackrell and Amir Abdullah on the first day, we're not going to do an episode for
emergency.
So, yeah, we'll play it by ear. We'll take care of you guys. We appreciate you. See you then. Enjoy your weekend because football. It's basically football season starting on Monday. Appreciate you guys. See you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.